If you're feeling useless, listen to this story. Deep within an ancient forest, where the wind whispered through the leaves and moonlight revealed hidden paths, lived Luna, a silver-furred fox with piercing eyes. Luna had always been known for her cunning and speed, qualities that made her one of the most skillful hunters of her pack. In her youth, she could glide through the forest in silence, capturing prey with an agility and precision that left others in awe. But the years had passed, and time had left its mark on Luna. Her reflexes were no longer as sharp, and her once swift paws now bore the weight of countless hunts and adventures. Yet Luna continued wandering through the forest, keeping herself distant from the other animals, clinging to memories of her youthful days when her strength and vitality were unquestionable. Though she understood that she was growing older, Luna resisted the idea of stepping away from her role as a hunter. Something within her feared that without her speed and effectiveness, her worth would vanish. Recently, however, she'd begun to notice the younger animals taking her place in the hunts and looking at her with a kind of respect tinged with pity. These looks unsettled Luna, and she found herself retreating deeper into the forest's quiet shadows. In these solitary days, a single question echoed in her mind. What is left for me now that my strength is fading? As the days passed, Luna's sense of unease only grew. Every encounter with the younger animals seemed to sting more than the last. They would watch her from a distance, their eyes filled with a subtle, almost unspoken pity. They admired her for what she had once been, yet it was as though they could only see her as a faded relic of her prime. She was no longer the swift huntress that they remembered. To them, she had become something to be respected, perhaps, but also outgrown. This shift weighed heavily on Luna's heart, and she began to avoid the others even more, slipping away whenever she sensed them nearby. She roamed alone through parts of the forest that few animals dared explore, pushing herself to move swiftly through dense underbrush and leap over fallen trees, as if trying to prove to herself that she still had the strength. But each attempt left her panting and more aware of her own limits. In the stillness of the forest, doubt began to cloud her mind. She missed the days when she could hunt tirelessly, when her speed had been her greatest pride. Now, though, a quiet fear began to grow within her, a fear that perhaps her value was disappearing with her youth. She questioned if there was anything left for her in this forest, now that her once bright vigor had dimmed. As her solitude grew, so did her uncertainty, and Luna found herself wondering more often, without my strength and speed, who am I? One cold evening, as Luna wandered alone under the moon's faint light, she stumbled upon an unexpected scene. Nearby, tangled within a thick bush of sharp thorns, was a young fawn, struggling frantically to free itself. Its thin legs trembled, and with each desperate tug, it only became more entangled, the thorns tearing at its delicate fur. The fawn's wide, terrified eyes caught sight of Luna, and in that instant it froze, too frightened to move. Luna hesitated. In her youth, she might have darted forward without a second thought, but now a voice of doubt held her back. She wondered if her body could handle the effort, or if she was simply too old for such a task. The forest felt heavy around her, silent as if waiting to see what she would choose. For a brief moment, she almost turned away, unsure if she had anything left to give. But as she looked into the frightened eyes of the young creature, a spark ignited within her, a reminder of her true nature. Ignoring the aching in her limbs, Luna approached slowly, her movements careful and calm. Using her nimble paws, she began to pull the thorny branches away from the fawn, working with the gentle precision that only years of experience could bring. Though her muscles strained, she remained focused, guiding the fawn's legs through each gap until, at last, it was free. The fawn blinked at Luna in astonishment before darting off into the forest, disappearing into the shadows. Luna watched it vanish, feeling a warmth in her chest that she hadn't felt in a long time. She had done it, not with the swiftness of her youth, but with a skill that came from years of understanding the forest's challenges. Sitting in the silence, she allowed herself a small, quiet smile. As Luna rested by the edge of a gentle stream, the night's cool air brushing through her fur, she found herself reflecting on what had just happened. The image of the young fawn, freed and unharmed, filled her thoughts, bringing a sense of peace she hadn't felt in what seemed like ages. She realized that even though her body no longer had the strength and speed of her youth, her mind still carried the wisdom and patience she had gained over countless seasons. For so long, she had believed that her worth lay only in her physical abilities, the sharpness of her reflexes, her speed, and the reputation that had once defined her. Yet, tonight had shown her something different. Her years in the forest had given her knowledge, insight, and a quiet strength that no younger animal could possess, no matter how swift or agile they were. She saw now that experience had its own power, a power not measured by speed or force, but by calm awareness and understanding. Luna lifted her gaze to the moon above, its light reflecting softly in the waters of the stream. A gentle revelation began to settle within her. She was no longer just a hunter, she was a guide, a quiet guardian in the forest. Though her role had changed, it had not vanished. She understood that her life still held value, just in ways she hadn't yet embraced. With each breath, Luna felt a sense of acceptance growing within her, like a seed taking root. She saw her journey differently now, not as a descent into irrelevance, but as a shift into a new kind of purpose. The next morning, as the sun rose softly over the forest, Luna encountered an old owl perched quietly on a low branch, her wise eyes watching the forest with an air of deep understanding. Luna had seen this owl many times over the years. The owl had always been known for her insight and patience, qualities that the other animals respected. Sensing Luna's quiet presence, the owl tilted her head and invited her closer with a gentle nod. With a weary sigh, Luna settled beside her. After a moment's hesitation, she spoke, sharing the struggles that had been weighing on her heart. She told the owl about her fears of becoming useless, of feeling as though her age had stolen her worth. The owl listened without interrupting, her eyes soft and knowing. When Luna finished, the owl's voice broke the morning silence, low and comforting. "Dear Luna," she began, "age has indeed changed you, but it has not lessened you. It has gifted you with something that youth cannot grasp, wisdom and experience that can guide others, a depth of understanding that few possess. The young may be quick, but you see beyond what they can, for you know the forest and all its secrets." The owl's words wrapped around Luna like a warm blanket, filling the emptiness that had haunted her. "Wisdom," the owl continued, "is the gift of time, something to be cherished, not feared. Embrace this season, Luna, for it holds a new purpose for you, one that only you can fulfill." A calm realization dawned upon Luna. She saw now that her worth was not bound to her physical strength, but to her understanding, to the knowledge she could pass down. The owl's words echoed in her mind, reshaping her perspective with each gentle repetition. As Luna looked out over the forest, she felt the first glimmers of a renewed sense of purpose blossoming within her. Reinvigorated by the owl's words, Luna began to approach life in the forest with a new outlook. She no longer avoided the younger animals. Instead, she observed them with a gentle curiosity, recognizing in their movements the same energy and eagerness she once had. When they encountered her, some hesitantly, others in awe, she met them with kindness, offering advice or sharing stories from her many experiences. Her wisdom, once hidden behind her pride and fear of aging, now flowed freely, and to her surprise, the younger animals came to her eagerly, seeking guidance. One evening, a young fox named Koda approached Luna, troubled by a failed hunt. He had tried to capture a hare, but had misjudged its speed, leading him into a thorny thicket where he'd nearly injured himself. Frustrated, he asked Luna how she managed to stay calm when a hunt went wrong. Luna smiled, recalling her own younger days, filled with the same kind of impatience. "Patience, Koda," she said softly. "Hunting is not only about speed, but also about timing and awareness. Learn the habits of your prey, watch their movements, and respect the rhythm of the forest. There is wisdom in waiting, in knowing when to act." Koda listened intently, his frustration softening as he absorbed her words. Over time, Luna found herself becoming a trusted figure among the animals, respected not for her former speed, but for the wisdom she offered so freely. She taught them how to navigate challenges, how to listen to the forest's subtle signs, and how to avoid common pitfalls. Her life was no longer defined by her physical abilities. Rather, it was enriched by the knowledge she shared and the lives she touched. Through these interactions, Luna felt herself growing in ways she hadn't expected. Her days were filled with meaning, her presence cherished by those around her. The loneliness and doubt that had once plagued her faded into the past, replaced by a sense of fulfillment and joy. As the seasons turned and the leaves of the forest began to shift to warm shades of autumn, Luna felt a profound peace settle within her. Her life, once filled with the need to prove her strength, was now rich with purpose beyond anything she had imagined. She had become not only a wise elder in the forest, but also a trusted mentor to the young animals who now looked up to her with admiration and gratitude. One evening, as the golden light of the setting sun painted the forest in soft hues, Luna paused to watch the animals gathering nearby. A group of young foxes listening as she shared a story, deer seeking her counsel and birds chirping overhead. She realized that in choosing to embrace her age, she had found a role more meaningful than any she had known in her youth. In that moment, Luna understood a truth that would stay with her forever. Her value had not diminished with age, it had simply transformed, deepening into something enduring and irreplaceable. She had learned that wisdom and experience were gifts to be treasured and shared. By accepting herself as she was now, she had unlocked a new way to be of service to the world around her. With a gentle smile, Luna lifted her gaze to the darkening sky, feeling a profound gratitude for the path her life had taken. She saw now that her journey had led her not to an end, but to a new beginning, a purpose filled with love, guidance, and legacy. And so, Luna's story reminds us all. Age does not lessen our worth. It reshapes it into something powerful, a quiet wisdom that only grows richer with time. If you ever find yourself feeling lost or without purpose, remember Luna's journey and know that your true value lies not in youthful strength, but in the unique wisdom only you can share. If this story touched you, please subscribe for more inspiring tales and share it with someone who might need a reminder of their own worth.